Today, what are we doing?
Today's lesson.
OK, so today is all about, well, if you're encountered somebody who's unresponsive, what are you going to do? So I'm going to demonstrate on this dummy. There's slightly different things you do for children and for adults.
So I'm going to come down.
Yeah. So there are differences for children and adults, but it's always better to do something. And if you don't know the different sequences, just use the adult sequence.
OK.
First things first, check it's safe to approach, and then check for a response.
When they're saying they're unresponsive, just to clarify, this is somebody that's not breathing.
Well, you don't know until you get to them.
Okay.
So that's why when you're checking for a response, what you're doing, you're seeing if they respond to you.
Yeah.
You might want to open the airway, tilt the head slightly back just to see if there's normal breathing, any signs of life anywhere.
Okay.
If they're breathing normally and just, you know, they've lost consciousness, you want to put them into the recovery position. If they're not breathing normally, shout for help. Tell someone to call 999 and get an AED if available. An AED is an automated external defibrillator. They're those electrical boxes that you get in stations and things.
Right, OK.
So, because they're not breathing,
Yep.
the heart's probably not working properly. So you're going to need to go, in adults, straight to chest compressions.
OK.
All right? So you're going to aim for the breastbone.
OK, so this is where the top of the ribs come in.
Top of the ribs come in slightly above that, OK? Use the heel of your hand, that's
Yeah.
it. Lock your other hand over, arms straight, shoulders straight above. You're going to bend from the hips, and you give 30 compressions, about 100 to 120 a minute.
So hang on, is
deeper
that...
than that.
Really?
So 5 to 6 centimetres. You should hear
Gosh,
a click. That's
Oh,
it.
really? That deep?
30 of those.
Gosh, it's like a workout.
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like I'm going to damage somebody's bones.
What you're
doing this.
trying to do is keep your fingers away from the ribs, and you may, in some adults, damage the ribs, but actually what
That's
you've
what
got
you're
to
trying
do
to do.
is take over the work of the
The
heart.
reason this is worthwhile, so worthwhile learning, is because I did this on my dad and gave him an extra 20 years of life.
Amazing.
And I cracked his ribs.
Exactly.
Did you? Did you?
It's the only thing he
It's not unusual
complained
for
about when he
that to
came around
happen.
was the fact that I'd hurt his ribs.
Yeah. So you give them 30 compressions,
and then
all
what
right?
happens?
Then you give 2 breaths, OK?
OK.
So that is pinching the nose, encircle your mouth round the person's mouth. You might want to tilt the head ever so slightly backwards, support the chin, and blow slowly and steadily. And you want to see the chest come up and go
2
back
breaths.
down. 2 breaths. 30 compressions, then 2 breaths.
And you breathe in once, come away.
Yes. Take a
and
breath
then-
in, breathe, come away,
OK.
take a breath in, breathe.
OK, I've got quite a lot of lipstick on here.
OK?
OK, so chin up.
That's it. There you go. And we see the chest rising as you do that. It comes back down.
Sorry, I put lipstick
And then
all
one
over
more
you.
breath.
OK.
And back down again. And then
that's it.
straight back to 30 compressions.
He's going to think he's gone to heaven when he comes round.
Ideally, what you want to do
covered in
is
lipstick.
minimise any interruptions between the two.
And then go back to
Go
this.
straight back to 30 to 2 again. You keep doing this either until help arrives and
is so
takes
much
over, or you become exhausted, or the
OK.
person comes round. If they do come round, you want to put them into the recovery position. If an AED arrives, let's say a box turns up, attach it and follow the instructions.
So
Okay.
that's for adults.
Yes.
We'll put all of this on the website as we've done before. What about children?
So children, there are slight differences because children primarily don't tend to collapse because of cardiac or heart reasons. They tend to collapse because of breathing problems, and we've done a short video just showing those differences.
OK, let's have a look.
Making sure it's safe to approach, check for any response, such as movement. If there isn't any or you're unsure, shout for help. With the child on their back, open the airway and have a quick look inside to see if there's anything obvious causing a problem. Check for normal breathing by look, listening and feeling. If breathing is absent or not normal, give 5 rescue breaths by covering the entire mouth or mouth and nose in small children. Quickly check again for signs of life. If there are signs of life and normal breathing, then put the child into the recovery position and make sure that help is on its way. If there are no signs of life, then proceed to chest compressions. Using the fingers or heel of your hand, press down on the lower half of the chest bone. Give 30 compressions, approximately 1/3 to 1/2 of the depth of the chest, at a rate of around 100 per minute, followed by 2 breaths. If the child may have choked, check the mouth quickly before giving breaths to see if you've helped push anything out. If you're on your own, then give 1 minute of CPR before going to get help. Continue alternating 30 compressions with 2 breaths until the child recovers, help arrives and takes over, or you become exhausted. So in summary, shout for help, check for signs of life and breathing, give 5 rescue breaths, give 30 chest compressions, and alternate 30 compressions with 2 breaths.
Okay,
That's going
all
on
of
social
that's
media,
online.
of course. You mentioned the recovery position
Yes.
a couple of times, so let's quickly do that.
Anthony, you come in, you're going to show us how to do this.
So, Anthony, if you lay down on your back, this is for someone who's unresponsive but breathing normally, OK? First thing you do, the arm that's closest to you, put it at a right angle by their head. The other arm furthest away, bring it across their chest and onto their cheek. The leg that's furthest away, fold it, bend it, that's it, so the foot is flat, and then roll them towards you. And that way, you just want to make sure that their airway is open and keep a close eye on them. If they're sick, then they can vomit and they won't obstruct their airway. Yeah. In babies, it's slightly different. So that's for children and adults. In small babies, all you want to do, make sure someone has called 999 and help is on its way in either way. Cradle them so that they're supported with your arms, head tilted slightly downwards, and they're facing you. OK, and then hopefully help should be on its way. And you want to keep an eye
why
on
is the
them.
recovery position so important? Why is it a recovery position?
It's called a recovery position because what you want to make sure is the person's airway is still open, and that if they're sick or anything like that, they can vomit freely and they're not going to obstruct their own airway. Whereas if they're on their back, then they could cause further problems.
For more of the same, just click here.
With the little ones, you can either lean them down and slightly forward, support their head on your arm.
Depending on their age, is
Depending
this?
on their age. So these are the under ones. Or put them on your knee and tilt it slightly downwards. Use gravity to help you. And it's 5 sharp blows with the heel of your hand between their shoulder
And is
blades.
it in between
so
the shoulder
it can
blades?
be as hard as that.